Welcome to Your Yes-Filled Life. I'm your host, Brenda Winkle, educator, healer, speaker, guide, and fierce advocate for your yes. I help sensitive and successful men and women find, reclaim, and live from their full embodied yes. Through empowering you to understand your energetic hygiene, establish healthy boundaries, and heal your nervous system, you'll be able to create your yes-filled life and move through your days with more freedom, more ease, and more joy. You'll hear inspiring stories of people who found their full-bodied yes, thought leaders who pursued their own dreams and are living life on their terms, and learn new ways to find the courage, joy, ease, and freedom to more fully step into your yes-filled life. Say no to the good so you can say yes to the great. Join me on this journey to discover your yes-filled life. Whether you're looking to break free from the golden handcuffs, start a new business, find your dream job, or simply live with more intention and mindfulness, I've got you covered. Let's explore the possibilities together and make your dreams a reality. Ready? Let's do this. Let's get you to your yes-filled life. Hello, and welcome to Your Yes-Filled Life. I'm your host, Brenda Winkle. Today on the podcast, we have Lauren LaPoint, a co-founder of OI Mouthtape. Have you ever heard of Mouthtape? Until I met Lauren, I had not either, but it is the key to better sleep, better breath, and better health. I can't wait for you to meet her. I promised you that I would take you along for the ride on my full-time travel journey. I am recording this intro from the Long Beach Peninsula in coastal Washington. And I am at the tippy top of the peninsula in a tiny little unincorporated town called Ocean Park. And I've been here for a week today, and Bentley and I have gone to the beach at least once every single day. Many times we've gone twice or even 3 times. And, there's not a lot of people here, but there's a ton of wildlife. We've seen dozens of deer, more bunnies than I can even count, and they come in all different colors here: black, brown, white, white tails or brown tails or black tails, and they come in all different sizes. I had no idea bunnies could look as differently as they do here. And today, Bentley and I went to the beach after we recorded a podcast episode where I was the guest. And when we got there, there was a whole group of bald eagles. Now, I did not know that bald eagles had community. I'd always associated the eagle with a symbol of leadership, thinking of the eagle flying alone. And it did my heart so much good to see this community of eagles. And when I say community, I mean there were 6 to 8 eagles all clustered together on the beach. And there were 4 of them that interacted quite a lot with each other. And then there were 3 or 4, or maybe even 5 others that kind of hung back in the distance. It was astonishing. I've never seen anything like it. I have seen bald eagles before, but usually I see them 1 at a time or maybe 2, like maybe a nesting pair or something. I've never seen this. It was just it was amazing. It was one of my favorite experiences so far. And I took some video of those eagles as they were landing on the sand, and in one, I realized, "Oh, I should take a video of Bentley to show how close we were to the eagle." Now, don't worry, I didn't get us crazy close or dangerously close because these are, the power birds, the birds of prey, and Bentley, although he's a big guy in my eyes, he's a small dog at 17 pounds, and so I didn't want to put us into any situation that wouldn't be good for us or the eagles, but it was so incredible to be that close to those power birds. It was really incredible. I have learned so much in my week of full-time travel. I know a week doesn't sound like very long, but the drop-ins and the downloads that I am getting are mind blowing. I am keeping a journal and I can barely keep up with all the downloads. And I decided that I'm going to offer you an extra podcast episode this week. I'm going to have another episode that comes on Thursday this week, just as a little bonus. Um, telling you about some of those downloads that I've received since full-time traveling. One of them is that, we think that by keeping a lot of things around, like let's say canned goods or shelf staples as far as food, we tell ourselves that storing extra things like that, or I told myself anyway, was a sign of abundance. Like I have so much. But I'm realizing that it's actually a sign of scarcity. You're actually stockpiling for when you think you might run out of something. And I ended up packing with me a ton of food, and I also gave away bags and bags and bags of food right before I moved. Have you heard of the Buy Nothing Project? If you haven't heard of the Buy Nothing Project, look up on Facebook for whatever town you live. Like, let's say if you live in Seattle, you'd look up the Seattle Buy Nothing Project. And they do the Buy Nothing Project based on where you live, like what neighborhood and street crossings you live. So you can find one really close and local to you. And it's a great place to give away things and then to also get things, because the whole premise is that we don't have to buy as much new stuff. We can, regift and reuse and recycle some really, really high quality things. So anyway, that went off on a little tangent, but I'm loving it. I do miss seeing the people that we loved at Mud Bay every day, the pet store that we went to see, and I miss seeing my daughter and our friends. And it's only been, a week. So I'm here for 2.5 more weeks. And then I'm traveling back to Portland for a few days, and then I'll keep you posted on what's next. But I will be sharing more about my experience here on the Long Beach Peninsula. Ooh, almost didn't say that correctly. On the Long Beach Peninsula. Over the next week or so. So I wanted to bring you Lauren LaPoint, who is a co-founder of OI Tape, because until I met Lauren, I had never heard of mouth taping. And when she said that she made OI mouth tape, I had no idea what that meant. Like, why would you tape your mouth? So in fact, I asked her this question on the podcast interview. So if you've never heard of mouth tape, you are in for a treat. You're going to learn something about the tape. And since I've recorded the episode, I have had a chance to try OI mouth tape. And at the end of the episode, in at the outro recording, I'm going to share with you what my experience using the mouth tape has been like. So let's get to know Lauren LaPointe. Hi, Lauren.
Hi, Brenda. So happy to be here today.
Thank you for joining me. I am so excited for this conversation. I love any chance I can get just to chat with you.
Likewise, I know last time we talked, you led me through a very intense and powerful and expansive breathwork session. And it was crazy because I think it was right when well, it was probably in the first couple months of this pregnancy that I'm about 7 months pregnant now at this point. And I remember having this really powerful journey with you, and you took me through connecting with my baby. So
Yeah.
thank
Oh,
you.
you're welcome. I have
Yeah.
chills just remembering that
Yeah.
feeling and the connection that felt so rich between
Yeah.
you and the baby. And oh my gosh, what a pleasure and a
Yeah.
privilege.
I
Yeah.
know we have to breathe together again for
Yes,
sure.
let's do. Let's do. So,
Yeah.
would you mind telling our audience a little bit about yourself and the work that you do in the world? And then we're just going to dive in.
Sure. Yeah. So I do a lot of things in the healing and therapy space, and I'll dive into more kind of my background, but I started diving into yoga as my lifestyle, my path, and that led me into learning about various types of somatic therapy like breath work and hypnosis, and really just learning how to connect with the body. Um, the breath is everything, as you know, and it really is linked to how we move through the world. So that's been my main work currently, is teaching people how to breathe properly, because it impacts how all of our systems work. And it impacts our emotional regulation and go on and on and on, which we'll dive into, I'm sure. And I also run a e-commerce brand where I help people breathe and sleep better through a biohack trick of mouth taping. So,
Mm.
yeah, I created a mouth tape product with one of my besties from college. A few years ago now, we've been running this company together, and it's so perfectly linked with the somatic and breath work that I do, because it's really teaching people how to breathe properly, which
Yeah.
it's so wild that so many people, including myself, had no idea how to breathe, and I'm still learning, and I'm still checking myself each day, but our sleep also is just so incredibly important to how we are in the world and how we move and how our emotions are, our digestion, so much.
Yeah. So I have to be honest, before I met you, I had never heard the term mouth
Yeah.
taping. I
Yeah.
didn't know what it was. And so the first
Yeah.
call we were on together and you were talking about mouth tape, I'm like, what is
Yeah.
mouth tape? In
Yeah.
case somebody's listening and they're thinking the same thing, can you explain what mouth tape is?
Yeah. So yeah, for the listeners out there, they're like, what the heck is she talking about? Mouth tape is literally just as it sounds. It's taping your mouth while you sleep at night to help your body understand and train itself to breathe through its nose. Our noses are meant for breathing and our mouths are meant for eating and talking, not so much for breathing, even though there's certain points with certain breathwork techniques when you're exercising where you do breathe through your mouth, and that's perfectly fine. But to breathe through your mouth long term is actually pretty detrimental to your health, to your dental care. It keeps you in a hyperstimulated, stressful state. So there's a lot of people out there mouth breathing while they sleep and while they move throughout
Mhm.
the day. And mouth tape is a really natural and simple way to just train your body to breathe through your nose.
I love this. And as we speak, there's a package of mouth tape arriving in my mailbox. I cannot wait to
Yep.
try it
Yep.
um, and tell our listeners and you about my experience because I know for sure that occasionally I breathe through my mouth when I sleep. I know because I wake up with dry mouth.
Totally. It's not just for snorers. It's not just for like your typical person who, I'm sure everyone has a vision of like kind of like maybe like an old guy with her mouth open on the airplane, like joking. Like it's not, it's for everyone. I did not know that I was breathing through my mouth until I realized that I had dry mouth. I was drooling. My sleep, I started tracking my sleep, which is wild because I was only getting like 3 hours, 2.5 hours of quality sleep. Now that I'm mouth taping, it's more like 6, 7 of deep REM sleep, non-REM and REM sleep. There's so much studies coming out too, which is just so I'm like it like activates my nerd side of me. Like there's so much data coming out around mouth taping too. And it's definitely a weird thing. Like it's taboo, but it's almost like it's comparable to like getting into an ice bath. You're training your body to do something different. And uh, there's just numerous health benefits that it's almost silly not to try, which led me to trying it. I was like, I'm going to give this a try. And it really changed my sleep game, which
Hmm,
changes everything. Once your sleep game is changed,
totally.
everything has changed.
Yeah. So the first thing that crossed my mind when I thought about, am I willing to try mouth tape was what happens if my nose is stuffy? And then I went to your website and saw that there's two different kinds of mouth tape and one has a breath vent.
Mm-hmm.
Is that for
Totally.
in case you have a stuffy nose?
Yeah. Yeah. So we actually just came out with a new product variant. So thank you for calling that out. We have a hole or a no hole. Insert your joke there. Yeah. So, but the we call it vented or non-vented, and we do have a little central vent for those that are maybe newer to mouth taping or haven't tried it at all. And there's a little bit of like anxiety of like, oh my, like typically I'm congested or I have a stuffy nose. and I just want a little bit of peace of mind and maybe a little airflow if needed. We also have customers that email us saying that they love the hole in the middle because they can put a straw through it and drink water at night. So I we just get the funniest customer emails too. Like people are like, "Oh my God, we're having such better sex because we're sleeping so much better." I mean, people just like we've become like these sleep therapists. It's so funny that the kinds of emails we get, and we love them because people are getting excited because they're having more energy because they're sleeping better. And so the tape without the hole is maybe more for the people that really don't want any airflow and they maybe are a little bit more seasoned. Maybe they don't sleep with their mouths open already and they just want to completely cut that like any temptation to bring in a little bit of air. So both are great variations for anyone to try and see how they like see how they like it.
That's amazing. So cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I literally can't wait to try it. And so when you think about biohacking,
Yeah.
and I just have to say, it's so cool that you're like, what is this? Oh, I like it. It's helping me. I'm going to design my own and create an e-commerce brand. I mean, to go from point A of what is this to I'm going to create my own e-commerce brand is really cool. How did you know what to do?
Yeah, actually, I love that Guy Raz's podcast, How I Built This. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's he's like, how did you do the thing? And I will say, so we're about 2.5 years into business from launching to present day. And well, I'll take a step back. The reason we decided to create a tape, my partner Natalia, again, such a good friend, soul sister from years ago. She got me into taping initially, and we realized that we were using really low quality tape from like CVS or Walmart or Rite Aid, and I realize some of your listeners might not even know what those stores are, but um, yeah, just basically poor quality tape that probably had toxins in them, probably had dyes, probably had harsh chemicals, and I was wearing them at night and pulling my skin off in the morning. I was
Mm.
getting a residue on my lips. I feel like I was like unintentionally waxing myself every morning, but like my taking my skin off in the process. And that was really our like aha of like, there's no non-toxic, comfortable, durable mouth tape out there. Why don't we create our own? And that was the initial sort of seed. And then it took a solid 6 months to a year of actually sketching out the shape of the tape with a pencil and paper and then putting it into a software CAD. Like we had to totally just learn as we go. We found a bunch of different tape manufacturers, all made in all the everything that we do is all in the States, all in the United States, because we didn't want to go overseas and have to risk not knowing what was in the products. We also want to just keep everything here, you know?
Mhm.
And yeah, so it was just a lot of mistakes, I'm air quoting, trial and error. And it took about a year to actually develop the product before we started opening up a site. We created a Shopify website. Um, and now, everything was just done by Natalia and I, really. And we were just going off of our intuition and really what felt really good to us. We wanted something that was comfortable. I think we tried 30 plus tapes. We're constantly on the phone talking to different people, traveling around. We wanted to see how it was made. So we just became tape nerds, and here we are with tape. And it honestly, we needed to launch it so we can get feedback from customers and actually understand if people like the tape. We liked it, but we wanted to see if there was a spot in the market for us. And so far, again, we're getting like the best emails and the best reviews from customers, which, for anyone that is a customer of OI Tape, that's the name of the company. Thank you. We're so grateful out there for your support. And we're small, but we're strong, and we're just trending upward. And it's been a journey. So I never thought I would have a product-based business because I've always been in the service space. I've always taught yoga, breath work, have been in the somatic coaching space. So to have a tangible product it's a total learning curve. So thank you for asking that, because I don't take enough time to slow down and realize how far we've come.
Yeah, it's really inspiring. And so, as I think about how you gave yourself permission to go from everything that you had known about yoga, breath work, somatic coaching to launching a product, how did you give yourself permission to go try something brand new that you did not know how to do, that you had to figure out on the go? What was that process like?
It was crunchy, I will say, like, and clunky. I feel like we were like the bowling ball, and like the bumpers just going back and forth, because I come from a background of working for an employer. I've been in the corporate space, so to shift your mind from an entrepreneur, from an employee, sorry, excuse me, to an entrepreneur, it is like you do have to give yourself permission, like full permission, and trust that uh you know, let's just try it. If it doesn't work, so be it. And we just felt there was very little risk. We were moving into this business because because we cared and we wanted to help people sleep better, including ourselves. And we had such a strong, that's our mission, is really to help people breathe and sleep better. We want to help millions of people in the next several years sleep and breathe better. And that was our driving force and still is. And our number one rule is to just have fun. And
Mm.
so if we totally tank this thing, it's been fun, and we shift and we redirect. It's, I really, my mentors, we have a lot of mentors that we've just had to turn to in this business process, that have made me realize that failing can be fun, because you're getting so much data and so much information for yourself to learn, and also to be in partnership. For those that have a business with a partner, they're co-leading with someone, is to be with someone who's gonna not only love you and have the compassion for you as you're going through your, like, kinks of feeling like doubt and failure, and is this going to work? Are we out of money? What's tomorrow going to look like? To just support you and love you through that, but also to kind of help you meet your edge, and
Mm. Mhm.
meaning calling you on your bullshit, or checking you, or just, but doing it in a way that it's going to help you. And so, good partnerships, solid team. I'm not doing this alone,
Mhm.
and it doesn't feel like I am, and that's beautiful. So that's been a permission as well. I do a lot of breath work to help like, a lot. And
Yeah,
I need to book a session with you, seriously, soon.
let's do
To
it.
Yeah, because there's just, life moves so fast. And I think
Mhm.
being an entrepreneur gives the illusion that things are even faster, because
Mhm.
it's your own business, and that it's hard to shut things off at the end of the day. You're no longer working a 9 to 5. You're working, you know, 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. And we kind of turned that on its head and said, let's not make this such an all-consuming thing. Let's still
Mhm.
make this spacious in our body. Let's practice what we're preaching and still get good sleep. And uh just keep trucking away every single day, even if it's moving the needle just a little bit. I think the last thing I'll say around the journey is that I think that there's this idea that entrepreneurship is like instant success. Like when we first started this company, I'll just be transparent and say people were like, "Oh, you guys are going to be millionaires. What a great idea." And I think that um there's like this little glamour almost illusion that's sold when you have a really great idea or a great product that it is going to be instant. Um, and it's been a beautiful lesson to realize we're in this for the long game and that it that's amazing because we get to be on the journey and on the destination, not right at the end.
Hmm.
So we don't know where things are going to go. We have our visions and our goals and our project management team and everything, but we are really just leaving space for things to flow and leaving room for magic.
I love
And
that. And
yeah,
there's a couple things that I'm hearing. One is that you're allowing the failure to give you data, not making
mhm,
it mean something about your worthiness or the worthiness of the idea. It's literally data points. And I just want to really highlight that because I think that that's an important mindset shift from what we've been taught in school. And entrepreneurship is a different ballgame in the sense that failure really is just more data points.
100%.
Yeah,
100%. There's also like I think it's getting rid of like the shame of not knowing something and then asking a question. Like I've been on the phone call with executives of these manufacturing companies asking them some maybe dumb, really dumb questions. And I don't care because I'm trying to learn and, everything for the most part in entrepreneurship can't is a muscle that needs to be worked and you're learning. And unless you have come from a family of a long lineages of business owners and people there and teaching you and you were taught at a young age, most of us who are starting businesses are really just figuring it out as you go.
totally. 100%.
Yeah.
Making it up day by day, data
Yeah.
point by data point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if
I
if you're if you're out there being like, I got it all figured out, uh I have a rude awakening for you. As
So do you
yeah.
think that I wonder this sometimes when people come to me and they want a change. They want, to release themselves from the golden handcuffs of a position that they're in that feels like the benefits are too good, retirement's too close. And it's really tempting for people to think, "Oh, I should start a business or a side hustle." Do you think entrepreneurship is for everyone?
It's a really good, solid question that I think I've asked myself many, many times because I was working my corporate job as I was working uh, this e-commerce business on the side and teaching yoga and teaching breathwork and supporting people in somatic coaching. So I had like 6 jobs.
Yeah.
And, I don't have children as of now and, one on the way, but I was able to make that work until I was able to then shift completely away from corporate. So that is one way to do it if you feel the call to work for yourself. I mean, I think I think that this is probably me just putting my opinions on everyone, but I think everyone should want to work for themselves because there's so much freedom in that. However, I think you have a point, and I want to ask you that same question. I think it's not might not be for everyone, and it's okay to not want to run your own business. Like having dependable income and a 401k and your company matches it and you have your team and your coworkers and you go and leave for the office for the day. I mean, whatever your work situation is like if you're working for someone else, that's beautiful. And there's a lot, it affords people very beautiful lives. So I think it's just really checking in, like really closing your eyes, feeling your body, checking in with what feels good for you because it doesn't need to be for everyone. It's really like what kind of yes filled life do you want to live?
Hmm.
I
Absolutely.
needed to throw that in there. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. You
Yeah, I'd
know,
love to know what you think. Yeah.
let's see. I feel like the freedom is really intoxicating for people.
Mm,
And I also feel like if you have something that you feel is so important that you can't stop thinking about it, that you're willing to show up and do a lot of work, maybe not for any compensation for a while as you're getting the ball rolling, and it means that much to you to do it, I say give it a try. If you don't have that much commitment to the thing, like if it doesn't just leave you thinking about it when you go to bed and thinking about it when you wake up in the morning, and there's not that fire in your belly, and you need security to feel safe in your nervous system, then maybe a side hustle would be better than going into full on entrepreneurship. But I do think it's really rewarding. I also think it's the biggest spiritual journey I've ever been on. Like, I am learning more about myself, my spirituality, my commitment to showing up for myself in the ways that I say my clients should. Like, I am walking the walk over here and learning a lot about myself in the process.
I will never forget one of our for our listeners out there, one of our mutual mentors, Samantha Skelly, said one time on a call we were on that your business is your spiritual evolution.
Hmm.
Uh, and our business isn't 100% us, but there's a lot of things that we're dynamic beings, but it's a huge part of what we do. And it's our, for me, my business, my work, my energy that I put into how I receive money, how I receive opportunities is it's my dharma, it's my path.
Hmm.
And I really don't think there's a lot of separate between how you flow in business, how you flow in life. And it's really interesting because entrepreneurship has showed me that if you're not spiritually grounded and in your sadhana and your practice, you will attract some really like what do they call them? Snakeskin salesman? Wait, snake oil
Oh,
salesman?
snake oil
Yeah.
salesman. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
you really
totally.
will attract people that are terrible partners. You will have poor relationships. There will be, I mean, it's just not to sound so doom and gloom, but it takes a lot of some of the best entrepreneurs, they've pilgrimage to India and have done personal work on themselves. You don't need to go to India to do that, but there's something really special about what you said around it being your spiritual path, and
Hmm.
being a way to awaken yourself even deeper on your spiritual journey is through business.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
fascinating.
It is. And I'm curious, you mentioned how you're flowing through businesses, how you're flowing through life.
Yeah.
And I'm noticing that when I have a contraction in my personal life, that I have a contraction in the business,
Yeah.
and they really are linked. Like when there's expansion one place, there's expansion the other place. And it doesn't always feel the same, but when I look at the evidence and the data points, it is the same. And then you also mentioned it's impacted your ability to receive. Can you say more about that?
Yeah. Yeah, I believe that when I'm in a dense state, meaning maybe I'm sleep deprived, but
Mhm.
in a state of distraction, I don't feel as connected. My energy is low. I mean, every day we cannot expect to be enlightened and shining our brightest, not 1 out of 10 at a 10 level. But um, yeah, in those times where I'm feeling uh, disconnected, my relationships, my personal relationships, there's blockages. And then in business, it's just things aren't flowing as easily. Um, and that could be when I'm more in my mind. I'm more focused on the numbers, the
Mhm.
KPIs and being really stressed out about the nitty-gritty details and forgetting about the big picture of why we're doing this. So it's a lot about zooming out and kind of understanding where I'm operating from. Am I operating from more my soul, my heart space, or am I operating from my mind? And it's just checking in. It's really not shaming it or berating myself, because it's easy running your own business to be so attached to certain things and being so in it that you do need to take a break. So I try not to work for more than a few hours a day and really lean into a lot of rest, a lot of nature time. And I find that business just flows. Like almost when I, over the last couple of years, I feel like I've actually worked less, um, which is an interesting thing because you would think that when things ramp up in the business, you'll be working more. But I've really taken a step back to let energy flow for me to receive, and just see what happens. And when that happens, I know it might sound like, you know, I don't know how it sounds, but it might sound a little, for those that are like, I don't understand really the spiritual piece of it. It is like when you're so attached to something, you can just choke it to death. And
Yeah.
so releasing that bit of attachment lets energy come in, and you never know. And then you get to discern what you do with that energy. Do you say yes? Do you say no? And go from there. So it's a lot of business is a lot of checking in with your body and where you're operating from. And also as a leader too, like for my team, we check in with ourselves a lot. If someone's getting into a space where we want to cut down a competitor, or we want to, coming from more of a ego space, maybe more of a old way of doing business, we check ourselves. And because everything you do in business, really your customers can feel it, and people, and you're just like, your clients can feel it when you're present or when you're not present. So the same applies to this e-commerce brand and just to your life. There's really no division between the two. It's all connected.
That's right. There's
Yeah.
no walls.
Yeah. Like you can't hide, like I really do think a bad business like cannot hide and last long. Like it just doesn't. People eventually find out that you're not operating from a genuine space. Um, and you might be able to kind of scheme a little bit for a long time, but ultimately, I really think light will shine in and people will see. So it's like authenticity is number one.
Yeah, that's words to live by right there.
Yeah.
Authenticity is number one. Oh my gosh, so good. So if we bring the conversation back to somatics
Mhm.
and understanding the body and then thinking about how our sleep and our life can be impacted if we're breathing through our nose. If somebody's not familiar with breath work, they may be like, "Wait, what?
Yeah.
What are some of the benefits of breathing through your nose?"
Yeah. Yeah. So we have we have our nervous system that is broken up into a couple different parts. The autonomic nervous system is broken up into two parts. There's the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. So just high level here. Your parasympathetic is your rest and your digest. It's really where your body just takes like a load off, and your organs and your um your mind, your just body as a whole, your holistic system gets to take a breather, pun intended, like
Yeah.
take a rest. And then you have your sympathetic nervous system, where you're activating that in times of working out, having sex, being really hyper focused. Like both are really important parts of how we live throughout the day. And so bring this back to the breath. The nose activates your when you breathe primarily through your nose, and this is where a lot of yogic breath work comes in, where a lot of meditative mindfulness
Mhm.
practices come in. They have you mainly breathing through your nose to activate that parasympathetic. So you're really trying to bring your body into a state of rest, which is what we're doing when we're sleeping. So when you tape your mouth, when you literally just cut off airflow from in and out through your mouth and bring it to your nose and train your mind to do so, you're tapping into that part of the nervous system that is trying to calm your body down and get you into a deep sleep. And
Mm.
one thing on that, if you're out there listening and it takes you a long time to fall asleep, you have sleep anxiety. That was a huge thing for me. Mouth tape is like this crazy little trick that trains your body to get into a deeper, uh, more restful state quicker because you are breathing through your nose. Breathing through your mouth too, like I mentioned earlier, isn't a bad thing. We need to breathe through our mouth for certain things, and also, there's different types of breath techniques where you can go on beautiful, powerful, almost psychedelic journeys
Mhm.
by breathing in and out through your nose, or I'm sorry, through your mouth, activating and also just collecting data, emotional data, seeing where you have pain in the body. I mean, both serve a purpose. It just depends on what your intention is.
Absolutely. I love that
Yeah.
answer. So good. So, as we kind of come to a close here, I'd love to ask you a question around your yes filled life. Is there something that you either did or did not do that has led you to your yes filled life?
Mm. Ooh, I love this. So I think for the most part, what's led me to some of the most beautiful experiences I've had, whether it be travel or um, relationships that I've been in, business partnerships, is I like to call myself the sacred rebel. I I have done a lot of things in a rebellious way because I didn't want to do it normally. Maybe because I had strict parents growing up. I grew up in yeah, seemingly really healthy, normal households, so to speak. Again, air quoting here. But I had this rebellious streak to me, and it went, let me just clarify. When I say rebellious, I'm not getting into any criminal activity or like doing anything that I'm not proud of, but there was this side of me that wasn't really afraid of risk. And that's why I
Mm,
think of the sacred rebel as just going for it. Even though it might not be like the easiest path or maybe I don't want to say the smartest path, but just something that is totally new, unknown. So really leaning into the own unknown for me has ironically led me into a lot of yeses, like a lot of things that might have been like a no, like "Oh, I don't know, let's see," have led me into understanding that, oh, that's actually a yes. There's something, someone said a funny quote to me the other day, or just like a statement. It was like it's scary, but I like it. And I and that's what I like, that I love that. Like I'm a little scared, but I kind of like it. I kind of like how I feel, It's like the unknown. Like, should we go in there? Yeah, let's do it. And I think that's what has been so powerful for me and has been my yes, has led me to my
mm.
yeses.
I love that.
Great, great question.
Oh, the sacred rebel. When we think about
Yeah.
feminine archetypes, that's one of my
Yeah.
favorites.
Yeah, I know. I have little pictures of like little sacred rebels all over my house and just things that remind me of certain times in my life where, yeah, I really leaned in and kind of did something that either surprised my family or surprised me, and it ended up being one of the most powerful experiences, like leaving my corporate job, quitting and moving to India. And, you know, at the time, people were like, are you mentally okay? And yeah, so that's a great question. I know I want to just turn around and ask you all these questions too, but I know you got to tell me how we're doing on time.
We're good. We're doing good. I think for me, it is continuing to show up for myself. And what I mean by
Mhm.
that is there's 101 ways in any given day that we can self-abandon,
Mm,
whether it's by writing over a calendar item that's just for us, or agreeing to do something we don't want to do, or tucking away that little voice of intuition that says, "Hey, it's time for this." And so I think for me, it comes back to, am I showing up fully for myself every single day and really allowing the yeses to come forward?
mm,
Because they're not necessarily auto yeses. And this is kind of what you were saying too. Sometimes we have to, for me, I have to slow it down and get into the body, and then I can find the yes in the body. But my mind and my body do not always agree.
mm,
And if I move too quickly and I just am using the mind, I can miss some really cool stuff. But
mm.
when I get into the body and I just fully permission those yeses to come forward in any way they want, then it just feels really good.
Ooh, love that. Wow.
You're the
I
first guest
love
that has
that.
ever asked me that question.
Ah, yeah, I was so curious. I'm like ready to move into the portion where I ask you questions now. Thank you for answering. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
of
know just
course.
your answer sounded like erotic to me, like just like getting into the body. It's like, and I don't mean erotic in it, in the way that we think, like, oh, in a sexual way, but it's like, no, in like a like kind of like playful, sensual, like, let me explore how I'm feeling. Is this a yes? Is this a no? Is this a sacred yes or is this a sacred no?
Yeah. Well, it's so interesting that you say that because there is this immediate charge around the word erotic
Mm-hmm.
in our culture, and we
Mm-hmm.
think that for some of us, maybe it's a thing we should shy away from. And I like leaning into it simply because it does really link to embodiment.
Oh, totally.
And so
Totally.
I think, the embodiment piece, being able to feel using the body. We are humans on this physical plane having a
Yeah.
spiritual experience, and we get to have a body.
Mm-hmm.
Why not use the
Mm-hmm.
body to tune in to our higher selves and then enjoy the body?
Yeah. I mean, our bodies are meant to, you said it perfectly. Like it's not a mistake that we have these sensations and these pleasure points throughout our body that are so powerful. It's like, what if that's used, not in the small categorized way that we're thinking that it's used for, but we can use it in how we are and be in the world. We can use it in business. We can use it in a negotiation, in XYZ. There's a certain kind of magnetism when you feel, I don't know if you've felt you're in a room with someone who just feels fully embodied and
Mhm.
they have that like almost like je ne sais quoi to them, and
Yes.
it's magnetizing, and you're like, I want what she's having, like, or what he's having, and
Mhm.
um that's yeah, that's a lot of why I love the somatic work, because it taps into that and it gives you permission to do so
It
in
does.
in a freeing way.
Exactly, in a freeing way. And, I think that, like, there can be sexual or sensual aspects of it, but it's so much bigger than that.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
so much bigger.
Yeah, it's like conversing with God, you know
Yeah,
conversing with spirit, or your higher power, higher self, great spirit, whatever is your word for that. But
absolutely. And I feel like
mm,
for me, and I'd be interested in hearing what this is like for you. For me, I feel so much more connected to the divine when I'm in my body. And
mm,
if I'm just in my mind, it's like I feel just small and kind of insignificant in the universe, if that makes any sense. But I feel like
Yeah.
I'm part of the whole when I'm in my body.
You said it. You nailed it. I mean, I find my one of my main practices is dance for myself.
Mm,
And when I'm dancing and I could be dancing alone in my house and I'm sweaty and I'm feeling it and I'm like kind of out of breath and I'm just like I'm so in it. I'm not in my mind. I feel alive. I feel energized. I forget that I didn't drink coffee that day. Like I just feel fully present. And that's like when you go to a really good concert or really good show and you're just dancing for hours, or you're in a really tantalizing conversation with someone and um, it's just flow. It's like when you're in that flow state. That to me, flow state is a really heavily in the being in the body because the mind's
mhm.
off and things are flowing. You're not rationalizing, you're not performing, you're not thinking, what am I going to say next or what am I going to do or what are they thinking of me? It's flow and
Mm, mhm.
that's it.
Dance is one of my mediums too. Whether
Oh,
it's just me in the kitchen or if it's on the ballroom with somebody else, I go dancing like every Friday night and I go to
ah,
a little like practice
love that.
party. We learn a new dance, or maybe it's not new, but I still show up for it. And then we have this practice party and it can be 2 to 3 hours of dancing straight. And I'm just like, my hair is wet with sweat by the time we're done. And I'm just like feeling so alive.
Oh, yeah.
So
And
fun.
I bet you're just like drawing all the people into you. Like it's magnetizing,
I just dance every song, every
I
song.
love it.
It's
I
so
love
fun.
it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Lauren,
for those that don't dance out there, start dancing. Put on a song right now, start dancing. Let's go.
let's go. Just try it. Even if it's just like tapping your foot, give yourself permission to feel the music.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah. Lauren, I literally could talk to you all day. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a guest.
Mm, likewise. Thank you so much for having me. We could talk for hours.
We
We
probably
really
will
could.
again.
Yeah,
It,
totally. I really appreciate you having me on and it's my pleasure. Thank you.
thank you. I loved that conversation. Lauren, thank you. Thank you for being a guest. And Lauren and her co founder, Natalia, sent me a packet of OI mouth tape. Now, I was very relieved when my packet was appropriate for a beginner. And so my mouth tape had the little hole in the middle. And I wore it. Um, and I was a little bit nervous, honestly. I thought, oh my gosh, is this going to be okay? I have been sleeping so deeply. I had no idea that my mouth tape would impact my sleep in the way that it really did. So if you want to try it, I know that Lauren and Natalia have a discount code. I'm going to put it in the show notes for you. And you can go try a package of OI mouth tape and let them know that I sent you. You can DM them on Instagram at OI mouth tape. Just let them know that you heard about it on the podcast, and I'm sure that they are going to hook you up. So, one of my big takeaways from the conversation with Lauren is how mindfulness and presence and allowing herself to slow down has impacted her business. And I feel that the same thing is true for me as well, that the more I prioritize presence and slowing down, the better everything else goes. So I would give you an invitation as you move through this next week to allow yourself to slow down just a little bit more. Allow yourself to listen a little bit more to your body. And that's what we call embodiment when we're really listening to the body. And I have a free embodiment breathwork meditation for you available to try at brendawinkle.com/feel better fast, all lowercase, all one word. And I put the link in the show notes. Go download your free embodiment meditation and just notice how things shift for you when you show up fully present. Thank you so much for listening to Your Yes Filled Life. If you loved this episode, would you please consider leaving your 5-star review? It helps the podcast more than you can possibly imagine. And if you loved this episode, please share it with someone that you care about. Bye for now. Until next time.